Welcome to the Chase Merrell podcast. I am your host, Chase Merrell, and we are all about helping people get freed up from what's holding them back so they can build up who they were made to be. If you want to help us continue to make an impact with this podcast week in and week out, consider joining our new Patreon community. For as little as a cup of coffee a month, you can be a part of helping us get the message and mission of the podcast out to more people more effectively. This is a way that we can come together as a community, and you'll get access to behind-the-scenes stuff, additional resources and content, and so much more for just as little as $5 a month. You can head over to chasemerrill.com and click Patreon to jump in and get started. Now let's jump into today's conversation. Well, here we go. Welcome to the Chase Merrell podcast. My friend Justin Wimberly is with me today. What's up, man? Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's I pursued throughout the year different times, just a couple different schedule things, but there was a moment I thought, man, this isn't gonna work. I don't know what I gotta do to convince this guy, but just super thankful for the opportunity. I know you're busy,
appreciate it.
Got a lot of family, job related things. You guys just had your job on top of your job. You just had a long season with that, but so part of this whole thing, or I'm wrapping it up, 50 episodes. This is my 50th conversation with somebody that is on my list of 52 people who've made an impact in my life. And you're on that list. You've been on that list, and you're not 50th. That's not the right. But I know you don't care either way.
Yeah.
But, so man, you're here because you made an impact in my life, and want to just have a conversation today to talk a little bit about that impact, and then also just part of the whole why I'm doing this. Not just because I want to kill time and hear myself talk or hear other people talk, but it's this idea of really helping people get freed up from what's holding them back so they can build up who they're made to be.
Sure.
When I think about that, like you do that on the daily for people in a bunch of ways, but most like prevalently in the physical space and in exercise and training and athletic training and so much in that space. But in my life, although you've tried and definitely have had an impact in that space, it's been more on just the who I am as a man side, husband, father, follower of Jesus, and more. And I'll get more into that. But for people listening that have no clue who Justin Wimberly is, would you just take a moment, give them a little snapshot, who you are, who you're connected to, like family, just kind of that stuff. Give them a window in.
Justin, and I'm married to Kelsey, and we've been married. This is probably bad to do it here. I think we're going on 14 years. Whew. And all right, 14. 14.
Dude.
Yeah, and we got 4 little girls: PJ, Haven, Jaylee, and McKenna.
Yeah.
And so they're keeping us busy. We actually just celebrated Kenna's birthday yesterday as a 2-year-old. So that was fun.
What are their what's the span?
Yeah, so PJ's 11, almost 11.
Wow.
Haven's 9. Jaylee is just turned 3 in August, and then McKenna is 2. So McKenna was a kind of a weird birthday because it's like every year it's because she's the one I delivered.
Yeah. You were the doctor in that situation.
Literally. I didn't just sit in the doctor's office and deliver. I delivered her. So we had a little get together last night in our garage in my man cave.
Yeah.
And I was like, 2 years ago I was sitting right here letting my adrenaline calm down. So
I remember when you told us about it, and I just couldn't fathom, man. I mean, I know people have done it. I know people used to do it back in the day even more, but like not now. It's just so different, right?
Yeah.
But you straight up, you're like, all right,
I had no
here
choice.
we go. No choice.
Yeah.
Dude.
So we own a gym in Tumwater, and have been doing that for going on 8 years.
Wow.
And then also coach at Tumwater High School. Work with several teams, in the area, from Olympia High Schools, sports teams, to Tumwaters, to St. Martin's. But I coached coaching at Tumwater.
Yeah.
And so we've been doing that for a while now. And,
would you say football's been a pretty big part of your life? Whether playing it or coaching?
Yeah, just playing it in high school and then college. And then, just it's a big part of it. The gym is like, a big part of it is athletic training.
Yeah.
So working with football, because of just that being kind of a specialty, I guess.
Yeah.
Is a focus point.
Yeah.
So
is that where you would say, like, when you think about just the world of fitness and weight training and nutrition, all that kind of world, health, like that specialized sports athletic training is just kind of like where you feel like you're more passionate in that space. Like it's
I mean, I can train your general person, and
right.
Weight loss, strength gain, whatever, working away from an injury. But the sports side is definitely fun, my passion. I have like a master's in exercise science with a specialty in strength conditioning, so it's it's that aspect as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, and working with teams, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. You just helped coach. You mentioned coaching for Tumwater High School. You guys just made it to state. Yeah. And didn't win there.
We got our butts kicked.
but
for lack of a better word.
But making it to state, I mean, I know Tumwater High School's got a long history of football success and victory, and to get to be a part of that, but to continue it, I mean, it feels like that's when you've got the history that Tumwater High School has with that world. It's always like there's just a different kind of target on the back to take down the big dog in that way,
Sure.
But to get back again is pretty incredible.
It was pretty special too, just doing it with Coach Beatty retiring last year and Coach Garrow coming on this year.
Yeah.
And kind of having. There were still some older pieces to the puzzle, but a lot of new positions and new faces. And so to be able to no one picked us to even win league. I think they picked us like third.
Yeah.
And then to be able to do what we did, it was pretty special.
Yeah.
So.
So the oldest of five boys.
Yep.
5 men.
Mm-hmm.
Had your youngest brother on the podcast a few towards the beginning of this thing, Wes.
Yeah.
Had your dad on the podcast.
That's right.
And so the Wimberly family has been a big impact in my life, and still is, a lot of those relationships. We got connected more specifically. Well, we really got connected back in like 1995 when my family moved to Olympia.
Yeah.
And I don't think I have any pictures. Well, I do have a picture of that season, but
is that the when you were wearing a Packers jersey?
No. See, this is good. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Although I don't have a picture of you and I have me and my brother and my cousin Kaylee, so everybody can see that. No, there's no Packers jersey in this picture, although I did have some.
Yes, you did.
But when I think about that's at Olympia. That's in off of Hoffman Road. When I think about I love football. I played it for 6 or 7 years, like youth, and 1 year of high school. I have a little bit of a different frame than you. So although had the Rudy syndrome, like tall heart, I was really there. I just couldn't sustain the physical world as much as I would have loved to in that space. And but it really started because I would come out with the Wimberly boys back in 1995, 96 and play backyard football.
Yeah.
And you liked the Packers, I think, at that time as well. I mean, I don't think they started early. And I was just 4 or 5 coming into my understanding of football, NFL. I mean, and so living in Washington, Seahawks were there, but you had this older kid, you were the biggest, faster. I mean, I just looked up physically, literally to you during that season, and you liked the Packers. And so there was this little bit of I think I like the Packers too. That actually did carry with me for a good season of my life, where I've got Brett standing back there. Yeah. Love Brett Favre. And so have had a Packers Seahawks, up until basically really when Brett went to the Jets, is when I kind of decided, all right, the team really is releasing there. I've been following both, but now I'm going to go Team Seahawks and then player Brett. That's kind of where it was.
Yeah.
And then I ended up moving back here, and so I'm obviously all Seahawks. But that's been a huge part of my life, football, and you were a part of the beginnings of that.
Sure.
Which is when I think about it, it's pretty massive. I'm obsessed.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. And so we met each other then, but then why you're here now isn't necessarily because football, but it's because we got invited to join you and Kelsey and your family and a few other families. Pastor Steve and Joan Purdue, who love dearly. Pastor Joan, moved out back down to California, but Pastor Steve passed away a couple years ago. Got to be in life group with those two, you and Kelsey, David and Sarah Saddlemeyer, Corey and Andy Freeborn, Dupree and Emily Rouse, and Ryan and Holly Schleck for a season as well. There probably was one more before.
Yeah, and Anton and Naomi
Anton and Naomi, let's go. That's right. Little neighborhood. We moved to Olympia or Tumwater, like 5 houses down from you, and just immediately immersed into like life and relationship. And Holly and I had always been around churches our whole lives, and ministry, life group-esque kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We'd always struggled because we've been in ministry. We always struggled to actually find like that relationship community where you're like, you feel like you can have your guard down and be just Chase or just Holly, not Pastor Chase or Pastor Holly.
Yeah.
And man, we discovered we could actually do that in life group with you guys. And now we've been in life group with you, and a few of those couples have remained for 6 years now.
Yeah.
And so we've done a lot of life over the last 6 years. A lot of different things.
Yeah.
And man, a couple of the things that I want to talk about today and just highlight around how you made an impact. One of them is when people think of Justin Wimberly, one of the things amongst many, I think, but one of them that would stand out is the confidence when it comes to the convictions that you have.
Yeah.
Like if Justin, what Justin believes, period. There's no wondering. Like,
if you don't know, I'll tell you.
Exactly. There's this, I had a couple questions I was going to like line up, like, just like talk to me, like, tell me why, Jay Inslee is your favorite governor that you've ever, experienced. But the fact that there's people know Justin Wimberly and whether it's football, whether it's Michigan football, the Packers, whether it's, something that's political or something in your faith or family, or like some of you just get excited. I mean, you are confident and passionate about it in a way that like moves. There's no like neutrality to it.
Yeah.
And as somebody who's a leader myself in the spaces that I'm in, I've always wrestled with the opinions of man being such a huge deal to prevent me at times from stepping into confidence like I've watched come out of you. So there's always been this challenge and inspiration that I've felt by you around just like, no, I don't care, man. I don't care what people think.
Yeah.
I believe this, I feel this, I'm standing on this, and I'm prepared for the outcome of that, the consequences, if they are consequences, or the ramifications of that. And man, there's something I so deeply respect about you, and I think a lot of people do, and I think that's part of what you're known for in that, is that, man, like Justin's, he's not swayed, he's not he's not a wave tossed in the ocean. He's solid in where he's at and what he believes, and it just seems like that's more and more rare. So I really appreciated that part of you.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's been moments where I've thought to myself, I wish I could be more like that. And I've tried to step more, I think, into that kind of confidence in my own life, and you've really sharpened me in that way. Another one is just your sacrifice and your willingness to do whatever it takes for your family. There's a value I've watched come out of your whole family, just the Wimberleys in general, but watching you specifically over the last 6 years in how hard you work to care for, provide for your household, to lay down long days at times and nights, waking up early and solving issues on vacations and things where, you're not off a lot as a business owner.
Sure.
Where there's always some kind of storm to navigate or fire to put out. And in that, I just have watched you consistently for 6 years, like continue to show up each day and do whatever it takes to to provide and be there for taking care of your family. And man, we're in a day and age where there's so many men, dads and husbands who are plagued with passivity and just an unwillingness to lay down their own selfish desires, laziness, whatever.
Yeah.
I've just watched the consistency in you over 6 years just be like, man, now we got to keep doing whatever it takes. And you've got this tough and tender, this like you could destroy somebody, pretty quickly and easily. And then you can get down on the carpet with, one of your 4 girls and they cuddle up and they're safe, And I just love that, man. I just think when I think about a picture of like the Father, like the Lord, like I see that. I've seen that pieces in your life of like the immovable. I can take it on for my family. I can protect and shield. I'll stand up against the enemies of life, and yet I can also create a comfort and a closeness for those that need that in my family. Just a few of those things, but would you talk to me for a second about like your journey of being the oldest brother of 5, being a part of a family that has a large impact and legacy in the area and around the world, and your journey of even just like, I think it's unique, and yet there's a lot of people that I know that can resonate to like, how did you step into navigating the pressure of like being the oldest, being the firstborn, understanding at some point like just the weight of your name and your family, but also going like, I'm my own guy and I've got my own life and I'm charting my own course and I have my own family. Like just for people that have been in that world before, but man, you've done it. I feel like you've done it well, and it hasn't been perfect. Like you've had to overcome a lot. But will you just talk about that a little bit, like how you just navigated some of that journey from your life?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, comes from my dad and just his approach to, and again, none of us are perfect, but there's things that he did well in the sense of how he took care of things, how he took care of people.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's about relationships.
Yeah.
And I think, there's been times where we've all hurt people, we've offended people, we've maybe done them wrong. And at the end of the day, it's like, okay, hey, I was wrong, and trying to make that up.
Right.
And I think kind of going to that point of like, I mean, I care about what people think. I don't think I'm not that crazy, but I am. I would say like since COVID, I've gotten hard. For a period of time, I got pretty hard in the sense of like, you want to take away my family's food on the table, then we're getting dirty here.
Yeah.
And so, but at the same time, it's like, okay, like we're just people. We're just, just living life.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the beauty of like my family is, people see us get together and they're like, gosh, how do you cultivate that?
Yeah.
We just show up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you just be who you are, not trying to be someone you're not.
Right.
Which is, there's like, as our family's grown, there's different elements, there's tons of kids now. And, there's parts of our family that like, gosh, that's just like overwhelming, like having us all in the same room, or it's like, we live in different areas now, like making time to be around each other or see each other, it's sometimes difficult with, large families and, just time and schedules but just taking the time to do those things.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think I've ever felt like pressure. Like everyone's like, yeah, you're a pastor's kid. It's like, well, yeah, well, at least I'm not like all pastors' kids. There's a lot of them that don't end up very well and haven't ended up well.
Right.
And I'm not saying we have, because
have.
we've screwed up.
Sure.
But
you have.
But I think we were just us. We just showed up and cared for people and And my dad modeled that really well.
Yeah.
And then that's allowed us to just do that with our families.
Right.
And just kind of multiply that.
Yeah.
I think the pressure of people is what you make it. It's like if you there was a statement said the other day, like if you care so much about what the people that you think you care about are thinking about you, I mean, like you don't even really know this person.
Right.
You don't even associate with them.
Right.
So why do you care so much about what their opinions are and what they're doing and how they think of you? Like,
yeah,
you got your own lane to run.
Yeah.
So I think having that mindset a lot of times is like, hey, this is what it is.
Yeah.
This is who I am.
Well, and that's so perfectly put. Like when I think about you, I think about your family, but I think about you, like you're unashamedly Justin.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like you're me. You're you, and you're okay with being you in whatever environment that you're in.
Yeah.
And it's just refreshing. It's refreshing. I mean, some people that I think maybe have their own issues of insecurities or whatever, like that could be. I think at times that can feel intimidating or feel whatever, but most of that has to just do with people's own senses of insecurity or uncomfortability. I just have admired that, man. I've admired your ability to just be you. And I think, and that's part of what 6 years of relationship now up close. There's that group of people, that life group, although we don't it's not every week or every other week. Sometimes there's months where we don't see each other, but a lot of it's pretty consistent over 6 years. Like you're the group of people we've spent the most time with collectively over these 6 years outside of our immediate family. And it's just the consistency. Like you weren't one random, you weren't somebody else 6 years ago as you are now. Like you've grown in different ways, but like you've showed up consistently. And so you're unashamedly, unapologetically you. And to your point about your family, dude, it is, man, there is something about when you guys all get together. We got to have Thanksgiving with you guys a few years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Been a part of lots of events with all y'all. And it doesn't seem real a lot of the time. And again, I know you mentioned it's not perfect. There's tensions or conflicts at times, but like by and large, you guys get together and it's like, it feels like everybody is able to do what you are able to do a lot of the time, which is be you.
Yeah.
And somehow being you is accepted, embraced, even at times championed and affirmed, encouraged, but there's not like a group of people, or a sibling or a parent that's like the whole time wishing you were somebody you weren't. They're like, your parents did just such a great job of that. Like I mean, again, especially at this stage in life, man, be you and who God's made you to be. And I think you're doing a great job at continuing to impart that into the world around you. There's so many conversations that I have when I think about like talking about you or listening to somebody else talk to you, and you listen for a little bit and then you'll say something like, so what? Or like, well, like, all right, like, what do you, basically like, not that you're not caring for them, but the point of what you're communicating is like, why is that stopping you? Or why is that getting in the way of you, doing X, Y, or Z? And, I remember just sitting back in moments and just being like, he's right. And he's the only one saying that. And yet he's right. And I think people miss a lot of that in their day to day. And so it's been great to have pieces of that in my own, relationship with you. Talk to me about, and for people listening, right? Like part of what I respect so much about you is, I mean, at the top of all this, you love the Lord. Like you were a pastor's kid and yet somehow like still find yourself in some desire of God in your life, at the bare minimum, and cultivating that, that's huge. You love your wife, you love your kids, you work hard, and man, and when you aren't working hard and you're doing something you really enjoy, like you really do it, like you enjoy it, you have fun. But so just kind of breaking that down, like your relationship with the Lord in marriage, 14 years is a long time.
Yeah.
Especially for, I think,
she probably thinks it's a long time.
For our generation, I think all, but like, I don't know, bro, because, you're in your what, early 30s. Let's call
Yeah.
it. Let's
I'm
call
already.
it.
I've gone over the hump. I'm closer to 40 than I am 30.
Shoot, bro. So mid to late 30s. Let's call mid 30s.
Yeah, I'm 36. Okay.
Okay, you're good. You're not late. Mid 30s and 14 years of being married.
Yeah.
To the same woman, 4 kids. Man, and shout out obviously to Kelsey for the incredible woman that she is, but obviously it takes 2 to tango there. But just it doesn't have to be like the big, golden wisdom nugget or anything like that, but just like how are you doing it? Give me something around like 14 years and you're still in it. And again, like I know you, so I know like I don't just see the Instagram or Facebook but posts of it, but like I know you genuinely love your wife.
Yeah.
And she genuinely loves you. I mean, your wife adores you. Your girls adore you. Like that's not just Instagram adore. It's real life.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's cliche, but I think at the end of the day, I think seasons of life, Christ can be the center of your relationship, and sometimes it's not. But I think it's like that 80-20 rule. Like if he's around 80% of the time, then you're doing something right.
Yeah.
If it was more 50-50, that's
sure.
It's even tough,
Sure.
So I think having, even in your bad moments and even in your weaknesses, having even just worship music around, like having routines of just doing stuff with your kids around Christ, doing stuff together around Christ. I think it keeps things at bay, and I think it keeps things in check.
Yep.
But I think consistency is the biggest thing. I think, where a lot of people fall short is you have 2 people, and when both become inconsistent, you lose your track.
Yeah.
And I think that's why God gave us each other.
Yeah.
Because there's times where I'm not consistent and my wife is super consistent.
Yeah.
And like she's coming down, knocking my door down, she's consistent. And then there's other times that I can be that for her. And I think for that it's allowed us to just take care of each other in our weak moments.
Yeah.
And lift each other up. And we've had our moments of like struggle, and still do to some extent, in certain things.
As we all do.
Yeah. But I think overall it's allowed us to really like, just we have kind of something to fall back on with the Lord.
Yeah.
And also you've got to get up and be consistent and fight for your family and and it's like, I'm a pretty loyal person. So like the fact of like when things get hard, kind of giving up doesn't settle with me.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like last Saturday, we were getting our butts whipped in the first half, and going in at halftime to have a talk like, hey, I'm okay if we lose, but if you give up, that's a problem.
Yeah. And
so I think it's just the world's created a lot of avenues to just give up. So
yeah,
I think it's all your mindset. But if you don't have something to fall back on, then your mindset just keeps slipping.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I think consistency is the biggest piece.
Yeah.
And again, it's a give and take, because I think there's times where I'm consistent and she's not.
Yeah.
There's times where we're both really consistent. And I think you just have to allow, when your spouse is consistent, to let them, push you.
Yeah, it's good. I think about the amount of time that you put in when it comes to owning a business. Speak to that young 20, 21, 22, maybe fresh out of college, maybe he's just kind of gone the, work hard right out of high school and try to jump into the lane of where I want to be, get mentored kind of route. But for like just that next generation of like the entrepreneurial business owner kind of guy or gal, that's like got this. I want to do like what now that you've been in this kind of specific space for 8 years and you've given a ton of yourself to it.
Yeah.
Invested a lot, sacrificed a lot. For lack of better terms, like what it takes to make it or not. Like what's just one thing you would encourage somebody that's going to be like wanting to step into that space that maybe hasn't jumped in fully yet, but is like, man, I want to own my own gym one day, or
I tell them don't do it.
It just crush the dream now, 100%.
Well, no, I think when you look at stuff, I mean, I think any business owner would say something like this, because I think what you dream it would be and what it's made out to be is it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's pretty alone being at the top.
Right.
And I think there's other aspects of that. I mean, even like being a pastor.
Yeah.
When you're the guy, that sometimes is alone. It's a lonely place.
Yeah, it is.
To lead. So I think just asking questions of yourself, like, is this really something I want to do? And how long do I want to do it? Is this something that's a stepping stone to something else? Because it's not a cakewalk. It's not something that just shows up.
Right.
And that's, again, it goes back to like your marriage. Like if you're not consistent, it's going to falter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so so you got to know, okay, I'm going to marry this person. I'm going to spend the rest of my life with them.
Yep.
Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, I think and you got to be okay with failing, because you're going to fail.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah. No, that's good. I think like just the beginning, what you said, don't do it but counting the weight, counting the cost to the best you can, and understanding like it's just not going to be maybe what you think.
And there's perks to it, and there's blessings, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
And it's not always fun.
Yeah.
So
something else that's not easy and not always fun is parenting.
Yeah.
Talk to me. For those that don't know, you came, like I mentioned, from a family of 5 boys, and then you have 4 girls.
Yep.
How has being a dad and then being a girl dad changed you?
I think being a dad is awesome. It's one of the best joys. I think coming from just a house of boys where we just, it was just different. I mean, you have boys and a girl.
Yeah.
Just how they go about things are just different.
Yep.
How girls go about things is just different. I think one thing I've learned, I'm learning, is just like being in tune with like my wife's emotions.
Yeah.
Because my wife's emotions and my daughter's emotions are not far off.
Yeah.
Even the little ones, I mean, they just put it out there differently.
Yeah.
So I think being in tune with my wife's emotions and how her day's going really dictates how, and we homeschool, so that, they're always around each other. So, but that kind of gives me an idea of what's the temperature of the house.
Yep.
And I'm not always great at, like, I just come in and, it's kind of like one of those things where your boss says, okay, this needs to get done, this needs to get done. And then you get it done and they come in and go, well, it's just,
yeah,
that's kind of how I am sometimes.
Totally.
I think it's one of the best things that we've ever done. And it's just an absolute joy to be a dad.
Yeah.
And they're just a blast, and they are some tough cookies.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
So
they've got something really special in you and Kelsey as parents.
Yeah.
Getting to have the two of you together, and I love the way the Lord has allowed you guys to have that breakup of years, to have a couple older and a couple younger, in that way. It just,
it's pretty cool. And we don't hide anything from them, and we keep, the other day I kind of mouthed off. We were all getting chores done, and I mouthed off to my wife. And Jaylee, the 3-year-old, goes, "Dad, that wasn't very nice. You need to apologize to Mom." And I was like, "Yep, you're right, sister."
Oh, I love it. Oh, it's so good. Football. I have to talk about just briefly Packers and Seahawks just for a moment. Just, we have some history even in the last 10 to 12, 15 years between our teams. But
Yeah.
it seems like, between Michigan being in the top 4,
Mm-hmm.
the Packers have turned, at least by the time this podcast comes out, they've been getting a little hotter. I mean,
Beat 2 of the best teams in the league.
yeah, it looks like there's some
couple of the best.
There's some there could be some momentum, swinging their way there.
And we have an easy schedule.
Yeah, and we don't. We have to go play the Niners again.
And the Cowboys.
Ugh.
No, you played the
No,
Cowboys.
we play the Cowboys.
Eagles.
Eagles, yeah. Oh, that's right, on Monday night. What when you think about like just this a chance to talk to Seahawk fans for a moment from a Packers fan perspective. Just like whether it's a guy like Sano or Mike Barker or Eric Hansen or any of those guys that,
Sano's the only real Seahawks fan that I know.
Yeah. I can attest to his
he is the most loyal
loyalty
Seahawks fan, and that's why we get along, to be honest.
Yeah.
All the other rest,
yeah.
No comment.
Yeah. There's some
they were the 40,000 fans that were outside the stadium in that NFC Championship game.
Yeah. And Sano
was part of the 20 inside the stadium.
Yeah. Thank God.
And you kind of know who's a real Seahawks fan, especially with these retro jerseys that have come out, because whoever's wearing a retro is a true Seahawks fan. If you're wearing the new school ones, you're wearing like neon green one, jeez, you're not a fan.
Well, yeah, they definitely had an opportunity this year to do something that was to build on last year, and this doesn't look like we're going to be. You
guys are in a tough conference too, and I think the Rams are coming on hot, and the Niners look like the best team in the league.
They're unstoppable.
Last week against the Eagles, so I think it's just it's a long season, so it's a it's not. It's really the cliched thing. It's like not how you start, it's how you finish.
Yep.
And you look at like Matt LaFleur, the Green Bay coach.
Yeah.
He's 16-0 now in the month of December.
Jeez.
Since he came to the Packers, including last week.
Wow. I did not know that. That's a pretty crazy stat. It's
a crazy stat. And so, like when you need to win, that you got to, find a way to win.
Yeah.
And it's a game of you got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, if you're not healthy, then it
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
How the first
it doesn't. I mean, and it's crazy. And then you got to find a way. Like when we beat the Lions on Thanksgiving, we had 17 guys on the injured reserve, or like they were hurt.
Yeah.
17 guys that weren't playing. 17.
Yep.
And I'm not talking like bench guys. I'm talking.
Yeah.
And you don't have a lot of room for that because you have a 53-man roster.
Right.
So.
Right.
You're moving pieces
around. Well, and that
around.
Thanksgiving short week.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't help.
Yeah. So, and just so you know, the Packers are the youngest team in the NFL.
Yeah, I heard. I read that text that you sent me. I was going to try to fact check it, but I think it's probably true.
It's 100% true.
They were crazy. I saw a crazy stat with like Jordan Love through his first. I'm sure you've seen it. Jordan Love through his first, like, I forget, something games, and Aaron Rodgers first games. Did you see that?
Yeah. So when the Packers were 5-6 before they won this last week, through that many games, Aaron Rodgers and him threw the same amount of yards, threw the same amount of touchdowns, same amount of interceptions. The record was the same.
Yeah.
I think that was it.
Yeah, it's just crazy though.
Yeah.
Like really crazy.
Yeah. Really.
He even kind of had some look. Like there were some throws this last week when they won that had some like wrist flick, kind of Aaron Rodgers-esque.
Well, and I think it came down to that. I was listening to the Herd, Colin.
Cowherd,
yeah. And he talked about how, kudos to Matt LaFleur because he's like, okay, I'm like, I mean, they came out, they didn't declined the ball in the first, on the kickoff.
Defer to the second half.
Yeah, they didn't defer the second half, and they took the ball and scored on the Lions. Just took it down.
Yeah.
And so I think they're like the way they're doing things now, they're just like, we're going to throw the ball and we're going to let him throw it, and he's probably going to throw some bad ones, but
yeah,
his arm's too dang talented not to let him throw it.
Yeah, he's got to let him loose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some like bright future for Packers
Hopefully.
fans.
We'll see. I mean,
the defense is getting shored up. Yeah, like you mentioned, youngest team.
We get healthy. I mean, we get Aaron Jones back. I mean, we're doing it with some missing pieces.
Well,
and our defense hasn't let anybody score over 24 points in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, they're kind of coming into their own. We have so much potential, which is
you do.
It's just not clicking. I
Nope.
think there's some shifts that need to happen, but I'll save that for another podcast. I just wanted to let a Packer heart get to express itself a little bit.
That's right.
Last question. I asked this question for every episode up to this point, except for my kids, because of their lack of ability to understand, but or lack of life lived, probably. But to the whole why of the podcast, getting freed up to build up. When you think about your life and you think about the things in your life, whether it's some previous season, it could even be present, something that you've been held back by, that you have gotten freed up from or are getting freed up from to be who you were made to be. When you think about overcoming something like that, what comes to your mind? And just like, what would you say to it for people listening?
I actually heard, what's his name? Ed Milette. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard him speak on a podcast this morning, and it just really resonated with me all day so far. And just, he talked about how everyone's got vision. No one doesn't not have a vision for whatever it is, a goal,
sure,
business, personal fitness, whatever it might be, your marriage, whatever. Everyone's got a vision, but most time we can't see where that's going to go or how it's going to be. So we just kind of slow down, go and repeat, think about it, but never just do it. And he talked about how if you have a vision, you need to be flying around. Like you're a person that's just like, you're walking somewhere with purpose. You're doing something with purpose. Like you have a vision. So it was really convicting in the sense of like, I got tons of ideas. I got, like this, your podcast, like you've had the desire to do this. Like you have vision, now do it. Like find a way to do it.
Yeah.
If that means you have to ask this question to this person, you have to go borrow this from this person. Like you go make it happen. Like you have a vision, go do it. So I think, and so he was kind of used it as like a, when you're on an airplane and they send you back around because you're not ready to land, you just keep circling slowly and slowly, avoiding your vision. And so I think it's just a good word for all of us.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah. That's very convicting.
Yeah.
When you, last question and then we'll wrap up, but just thinking about 14 years of marriage, eight-ish or more years in Wimberly training, education, coaching, etc. 11 years of parenting plus, when you think about something like in 5 years, and you get a picture in your mind of like something that's making you smile, something bringing you joy in the next 5 years, what do you think comes to your brain when you think about where you are now in 5 years?
I think it's people, and I think it's moments where you have unique opportunities to challenge people or speaking to people. I mean, just using this game last week, I had like 10 parents text me going like, "Hey, there was a speech at halftime," and not that I don't want it to be about me,
sure,
or the speech, but that speech made an impact on some kids.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And I think in 5 years, when I see one of those kids and they bring up a memory like that, Or when my kids,
that's awesome.
When my kids go, hey, you remember that McKenna's 2-year-old birthday when you just like did s'mores in the garage?
Yeah.
You know, I think those are the things that will light me up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Or the people that you help, get to a healthy spot, physically.
Yeah. Which
then helps you get there mentally.
Yeah. Yeah. So good, dude. I'll never forget. It seemed super small of a thing, and yeah, it made such a huge impact. But because it was like fully encompassed, like kind of who you are to me. I had just had a crap season with my car for a while, and it kept just. I don't know. I mean, I think I got stuck. I think I got exposed, and I was with the kids, and we were in McDonald's drive-thru,
right.
and I think it straight up died in the drive-thru. Literally, I got the food and it stopped, so I was blocking all that. So I had to push it to the parking lot right in front of it, and I'm thinking to myself in that moment, who can I text or call and ask just for? I don't even know what I need. I don't even know for sure, like if it's just a dead battery or what, but like that I could just text and ask for help and feel like not hesitate about the thought of it, like inconveniencing them.
Yeah.
Because of my personality is like, right, I'm so over analyzing, like I don't want to put people out, I don't want to all that. But so for me to have you be one of the first person that came to my mind and heart, that I was like, I could text Justin and Justin's not going to be like, oh dang dude, I just, all right, or even if he didn't say that, he would be thinking it. It was straight up like, if he can, he'll figure out a way. And if he can, he can't. Yeah. And you showed up with a massive old, generator thing from Costco to recharge my battery and get me moving and hang out with me. And it was just that moment. It was after a long day of work. It was just all of that stuff there that I was like, man, this is this dude, a guy I feel I have developed enough relationship with. I feel safe enough to be able to reach out when I'm not okay and not worry about how it could inconvenience him, or how weak I could look, and his selflessness to be like, yep, dude, let me load up the truck and get over there. Small, but massive.
Yeah.
And you do that for a lot of people. You've done that for me, that kind of thing for me multiple times, but I'll just never forget that kind of moment, because I think it just embodied. You're just like, yeah, you showed up as you. What do you need? Let's figure it out. And that's a pretty strong picture of Justin Wimberly, in I think a lot of people's lives. So, man, I just hope for many more years of even proximity. Yeah. Although who knows, I just want more time with that world, and I'm excited that we get to have friendship. Still, your family is so precious to us, and we feel privileged to get to be like in relationship with the Wimberlys the way we get to be. So
same.
Thanks for the impact, and Michigan,
go Blue,
Packers. I hope we're having just a conversation, it's a little different in a couple weeks where we're not having to talk about the Packers in their late season run. So with that, man, thanks for joining me. Everybody listening, thanks for listening. Until next time, see you later.